Hello everyone and welcome back to another Custom Black Series Showcase. Today we're going to be taking a look at my Imperial Naval Commando Trooper and Squad Sergeant Custom Black Series figures. Just like the Triton Squad Stormtrooper, the Imperial Naval Commandos were designed by Steve Stamatiadis for the PS2, PSP, and Wii versions of the game made by Chrome Studios. These guys were featured in multiple different levels across the game. Funnily enough, these guys were one of the few unique trooper designs from the Chrome Studios version of the game to get 3.75-inch scale figures. These guys came in the Sith and Imperial Troopers Battle Pack. I made these custom figures 2 years ago, and there's definitely a few things I would change if I were to remake them today. However, I think they largely stand up despite their age. These guys were made using the Black Series Imperial Hover Tank Driver as the base, and were made using the Skylu 3D kit with some digital modifications. I chose the Hover Tank Driver body because they had pants and forearms that very closely resemble those worn by the Naval Commandos worn in-game. Starting off with the helmet, I think that Skylu did a fantastic job modeling this helmet and really nailed the overall look and feel of the original design. The helmet feels like a mix between the Stormtrooper and Snowtrooper designs and definitely has some Ralph McQuarrie inspiration to it. When looking at the Sergeant model from the game, I noticed that the rangefinder appeared to be a Boba Fett rangefinder mounted to a Stormtrooper ear cap, so I took both models and kit bashed them onto the Naval Commando helmet to create the Squad Sergeant design. Just like the Triton Squad Stormtrooper, the pauldron on the Imperial Naval Commando was intended to be a standard Stormtrooper pauldron, so I commissioned an amazing 3D model designer, Paul Spooner, to modify and adjust my pauldron model to fit the chest piece of the Naval Commando. If I were to redo this figure today, I would definitely use my modern model of the pauldron, which features far more realistic details and a far less intense leather UV map. UV maps are a feature in Blender which allows you to apply an image to a model as a 3D texture, but in this case, I didn't properly scale the texture to the model it's on, so it's a bit too intense. The backpack in game uses the exact same model as Triton Squad, and is based on the fan prop created by Mike Harrison from Studio Creations. I used the Skylu 3D model design for this figure, however if I were to remake him, I'd definitely use the new model made by GI Trooper kits that we did for the Triton Squad Trooper. This one's based more on the real prop rather than the game design and feels a bit more grounded. The chest piece is largely a Snowtrooper chest plate, but with abdomen details from the Stormtrooper on top. According to Steve, the design of the back armor is a modified version of the one used for Triton Squad. You can see some of the clone inspiration here with the 4 inset circles at the top, but some differences with the raised rectangular portion and new details not present on either the Clone Trooper or Triton Squad backplate. You'll notice more of that clone inspiration in the elbows, where they appear to just be standard Clone Trooper elbows. I modified the codpiece design on the original Skylu 3D kit to be more of a Stormtrooper codpiece like the concept art, and changed out the cylinder on his front for a standard Stormtrooper thermal detonator model. I also added a more realistic model of the Sandtrooper pouch to his side. The legs feature cargo pouches on the thighs and unique boots and kneecaps. The ankles once again have that same rectangular box shape as those found on the belt. I imagine these may be ammo boxes in universe, but I'm not really sure. If you're curious how I get these 3D printed shin pieces on, it usually involves me cutting down the leg with a Dremel and cutting the thigh in half with an X-Acto knife. This allows you to slip the ankle in through the bottom and the knee in from the top, so you don't have to completely eliminate the ankle articulation. Just like my other figures, the Commander and Trooper both have swappable 3D printed hands to achieve a variety of poses and gestures. I posted a story on my Instagram asking for questions about the figures, and Rogue Ranger Customs asked if I use different kinds of clear coat for the armor and undersuit, and the answer is yes. For this figure, I used both matte and gloss clear coat made by Krylon. For the undersuit, I painted the entire thing black and then sealed it with a matte clear coat to give it a flat black finish. I painted the armor white and weathered it slightly with German field gray to give it a slightly worn appearance. I clear coated the armor twice, first with a matte coat and then second with a gloss clear coat. This gave it sort of a semi-gloss appearance without appearing overly reflective. I masked off the visor with Vallejo liquid mask prior to doing the matte coat. This ensured that when I sprayed it, it was only getting the gloss coat. Something to keep in mind when doing clear coats is that if you start off with a matte coat and then apply a gloss coat on top of it, you'll never have a fully gloss figure. It'll always be semi-matte. That matte clear coat, when you apply it, applies sort of a textured surface to the figure, which is what gives it that matte effect. If you don't want it to be matte, want it to be fully glossed, you have to mask off things that you want to be fully glossed. Once again, I want to thank you all for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this custom figure showcase. I absolutely love the design of the Imperial Naval Commando and definitely see myself redoing this figure sometime in the future. But until then, peace.